Do you think you'll ever be Queen?
No, I don't. No.
Why do you think that?
I'd like to be a queen of people's hearts, in people's hearts. But I don't see myself being queen of this country.
They finally got rid of Diana because that night she got into a car crash. Princess Diana Spencer appeared in 1981 after being engaged with Prince Charles. When Diana got engaged, the girls of her age group thought that Diana's decision was wrong. She didn't do justice to herself. The girls made up a group and stood up for Diana, who already moved into the palace. The girls were wearing t-shirts printed with a picture of Diana, and it was also written on their t-shirts, "Don't do it, die," which means that don't get married to Charles, you will be trapped. When she came out the palace, she came towards the girls and read out what's written on their shirts. She then replied with a sweet gesture, "Hope for the best." Diana was born in July 1st, 1961, into the British nobility and grew up close to the royal family on their Sandringham estate. The youngest daughter of John Spencer, 8th Earl Spencer, and Frances Shedkid. She had 3 sisters and 1 brother. Her parents never had a good life. And when she was 7, her parents became very bad and they got very major issues. So they decided to be separated.
I think our parents' divorce was quite tricky for all of us. It was very sort of bitter and quite had an impact, big impact. They never spoke and,
Diana was strongly affected by their divorce in 1967. Diana used to remember that time and said that I have seen my father beating my mother and that thing scared me. Those incidents had been a shadow to all his life. It was a very unhappy childhood, being very detached from everyone else. She was neglected after her mother died. Everybody used to tell her that you're too weak and you know nothing about the world. Then she started a school and then joined finishing school. The time passes. Charles found Diana somewhere when Diana was 19 and Charles were at 32. Charles thought that Diana would be best for her, as he knows that she is so innocent, so it was easy to mold her however he wanted. Also, Charles was under pressure of his father King Philip and mother Queen Elizabeth, because after all, he was a guardian of the throne. So he decided to marry Diana. He proposed Diana. As Diana said, after 10 to 11 meetings with Charles, I said yes. But she carried out the doubt on her mind about the friendship of Camilla Parker Bowles and Prince Charles, as she already knew that she was the old and very close friend of Charles, and Charles was very much into her. But he couldn't marry her because Camilla was divorced. Till the last time Diana remained in doubt. So she asked her sister to change the decision, but her sister said, "It's too late now and you should get married." Diana said later that the day I got married, I knew that I was a lamb to the slaughter. Eventually, the marriage had took place and soon after, she began her new life with Prince Charles. Later it shown that honeymoon was also not too easy for her, because Prince Charles' ex, Camilla Parker Bowles, was with him during the whole trip. It was really a tough time for her, as she used to cry in her cabin. Diana started getting more into a depression.
Do you think Mrs. Parker Bowles was a factor in the breakdown of your marriage?
Well, there were 3 of us in this marriage, so it was a bit crowded.
According to the Prince Charles, problems started when he realized that Diana is not normal. As Charles says that he tried to console her because as she was so untrusting and depressed, so he failed. Whereas according to Diana, she just needs sympathy and care. She actually wants Charles to sympathize with her because Diana was already damaged and depressed from inside. She just wants a caring and loving person in her life. She wants someone who will listen to her and treat her well. That was the only cure for her.
British newspaper The Observer says the next royal heir will be a boy. Princess Diana has learned through routine medical scans the child could be second in line of succession to the throne.
When she was pregnant with Prince William, she suffered from acute depression. Also one day, she committed suicide and dropped herself off the stairs. She knew that she was pregnant, but she was so desperate to commit suicide.
I was actually crying out because I wanted to get better in order to go forward and continue my duty and my role as wife, mother, Princess of Wales. So, yes, I did inflict upon myself. I didn't like myself. I was ashamed that I couldn't cope with the pressures.
Once, she also discussed her condition with Queen Elizabeth, but nothing really happened.
In England, it's a boy. 7 pounds, 1 ounce, no name yet, but that country is jumping.
May we see your son, Your Royal Highness?
Well, in June 21st, 1982, Prince William's, the first child of Charles and Diana, was born. She then decided to start a new life, but unfortunately, that never happened. In fact, the distrust between Diana and Charles started to increase. One of the reasons for this was bulimia. Yes, Diana's psychotic illness, which she never discussed with anyone. Perhaps Charles knew about it, but he never cared, nor does he tell to someone else.
It's a penalty of the job. Did you find it difficult to adapt?
The press, it grew into this monster. People were wanting to see every intimate, private moment. It's an endless life of having to be on best behavior, watching what you say, being politically correct.
From Prince William to Prince Harry, in these 2 years, she tried 5 times to commit suicide. The strange thing was that the royal family knew about these attempts. However, they never asked her for treatment. At last, one day, her friend came and forced her to consult a psychiatrist. She then started going to the doctor every day, and that was a good time for her. Also, during the period, Charles and Diana started getting close. After that, Diana got pregnant and Prince Harry was born in 1984.
The world press have waited to congratulate the Princess Diana, who has issued forth with a second child. It is a boy.
It's a boy. The royal birth was a national cause for celebration.
After the birth of Prince Harry, there were again clashes started because Prince Charles wanted a baby girl. And as she was too sensitive, so she also took this to her heart. But now, it was all going out of the bounds for Diana. So she finally decided to take revenge from the royal family, and she did it. That time there was a journalist named Angus Morton. Diana contacted him and asked to write a book on her life, her true story in her own words.
An explosive book called Diana, Her True Story, published that June, made scandalous charges about the Prince and Princess of Wales. The book said Diana had tried to commit suicide several times, that she'd suffered from bulimia, and that Diana and Charles, both miserable in their marriage, had both turned to others for love. Clearly, the Prince and Princess were living unhappily ever after.
The book got too viral, and now everyone was questioning to the royal family for these allegations. Also, the royal family tried many times to ask Diana if there were any contribution of her in that book, but Diana always denied that I have nothing to do with this. After that, Charles and Diana managed many tours together, but their separation was becoming clear to the world. And finally, Queen Elizabeth called them and said, "See, the world has seen your relationship is falling apart, so it's better for you to be separated." And then the day came when John Major, the Prime Minister of the Parliament, announced the separation of Prince Charles and Princess Diana.
It is announced from Buckingham Palace that with regret, the Prince and Princess of Wales have decided to separate. Their Royal Highnesses have no plans to divorce.
There are many revelations in that book by Anne Grossmorton, by which one of them, she couldn't build a nice relationship with her father-in-law, King Philip, as his behavior was not well during this whole time. And also at the time of separation, King Philip insisted to take her title back of Your Royal Highness if she got divorced. Then Diana replied him, Lady Diana Spencer had came into the family with a legacy of 500 years old, and Prince Philip just became Duke of Edinburgh the day he got married to Elizabeth 70 years ago.
The problem. I'll fight till the end.
Diana did become very gripped very quickly by causes. She always said to me that she thought of herself as an outsider, that these people were also outsiders, and she had a bond with them. The idea that Diana was an outsider is, for me, quite hard to reconcile because she was everything that is the establishment in some ways. But emotionally, she felt that she was an outsider. And that's what attracted her to a range of organizations where people were on the wrong side, as it were.
The princess began her work with 8 victims in the 1980s. Diana was the first British royal figure to contact AIDS patients. In 1987, she held hands with an AIDS patient in one of her early efforts to destigmatize the condition. In addition to those who suffered from wars and had been in the wars, she also visited them. She also struggled to eliminate the mines and showed this to the people that I am not just a pretty face. As the whole world saw that she was so vibrant and energetic. Once she said that if Charles can make female friends, so why not me? She then made new friends, both females and males, and she once again started her new romantic life.
In our faces. It was like having a supernova. A new word began to appear in the media's vocabulary. Di-mania.
Diana fever that's infected Britain and most everywhere else.
So tell us, what is she really like?
The major topic in the papers, Princess Diana.
She was a supermodel, political figure, a movie star.
She was a fashion icon. Diana became the most fascinating woman in the world.
Time in the mid-90s, probably in 1995, Diana's new life began. Now there is a link started from Pakistan. Diana once went to the hospital to meet some patients, and there she met Dr. Hasnaat Khan. Dr. Hasnaat Khan was a very famous cardiologist. Eventually, Diana and Dr. Hasnaat became friends, which later turned into a love, and the thing by which Diana was fascinated was his attitude towards his family, as he was so kind to his family. In an interview, Jemima Khan, a close friend of Diana, said that Diana was madly in love with Hasnaat Khan and wanted to marry him even if that man living in Pakistan.
Vanity Fair interviewed Jemima Khan, a close friend of Diana's, and the doctor, who said Diana was madly in love with Hasnaat Khan and wanted to marry him, even if that meant living in Pakistan.
So why did Dr. Hasnaat Khan and Diana not get married? Here I tell you that Diana was not the reason. Yes, it was Dr. Hasnaat, due to which Diana's dream never came true. Dr. Hasnaat was an honorable man of Eastern values. He said, I love you, but I cannot live with you. You have a high-octane, high-class life which I cannot afford.
According to the article, Diana loved the normalcy of his life. A young heart surgeon from Pakistan who worked more than 90 hours a week and lived in a small one-bedroom apartment.
But Diana never accepted his rejection, and in 1996 she went to Pakistan to meet Jemima and Imran Khan. The excuse she made was, "I'm going for the fundraising of Shaukat Khanum Memorial Hospital," but actually the reason was something else. She actually came to meet the parents of Dr. Hasnat Khan, who lives in the city of Lahore. His parents greeted her and welcomed her, but she couldn't convince them. They said, "We belong to a very simple family. Hasnat is also a very simple person. He should live his life as he studied and worked. But as your princess, we can't relate to your life." And after some days, she returned to London empty-handed. When it is confirmed that Diana wouldn't be able to pursue Dr. Hasnat Khan, so she decided to make him feel jealous. Then we saw she became friend with another Muslim guy, Mr. Dodi Al-Fayed. He was the son of Muhammad Al-Fayed, a millionaire from Egypt. He was also the owner of most famous shop of London, Harrods. In 1997, she decided to spend the summer on Dodi's cruise ship. And she must thought that for the news, they will be approached by the press from all over the world, and these pictures of us will be published in the whole world. Everybody will see, and so Dr. Hasnat. After Andrew Morden's book, writing about Diana had become trend. Diana's sister, friends, brothers, and relatives all were talking about Diana and gave many interviews related to her, just for money. But she always says that everybody can sell me out, but Hasnat is the one person who will never sell me out. Which was true, because Hasnat never talked about Diana in front of any media or press. Even he never answers the questions related to Lady Diana ever.
Everybody sells me out, she told a friend the summer of her death. Hasnat is the one person who will never sell me out.
It up as जैसे भी right or wrong. So we were good friends. So we do a lot of work for charity at that time. So unfortunately she died at a very young age, very productive age. There was a personal issue. And everyone knows what happened afterwards.
And now, let's move on to the last evening of Diana before her death. On 31st August 1997, after the tour, they came to Paris, staying at Dodi's personal hotel, the Ritz. In the evening, they came out from the back door to avoid media and press. They get into the Mercedes, but who knows that the driver was drunk. They both died in a car crash.
This is a news flash from National 9 News.
We interrupt this film to tell you we are getting reports that Diana, Princess of Wales, has been badly injured in a car crash in France.
And the news out of Paris on the condition of Princess Diana is not good. She is now officially reported as dead.
Who knows what fate will produce? Who knows what circumstances will provoke?
Just after the incident, Muhammad Al-Fayed, father of Dodi, made several allegations to the royal family. He alleged that the royal family is behind these deaths. After that, the British government ran an inquiry which resulted after several months that an accident was due to the overspeeding because the driver was drunk. But one thing was strange, because after this incident, the royal family should have reacted immediately. They had to show their sympathy towards Diana, but they didn't. In fact, the British Prime Minister Tony Blair himself had to say that she was the people's princess. At least shed some tears for the princess today. Then the Queen Elizabeth came outside. Then the Charles came outside with their kids, and when they reached London, they saw that everyone was in tears. The whole world was crying for her. and whole of the London was decorated with flowers for her.
So what I say to you now, as your queen and as a grandmother, I say from my heart. First, I want to pay tribute to Diana myself. She was an exceptional and gifted human being. In good times and bad, she never lost her capacity to smile and laugh, nor to inspire others with her warmth and kindness.
Prince Charles had to go to the Paris in pressure to bring back her body. When Prince Charles brought her body back, there was a huge crowd waiting for her. An estimated 2.5 billion people were watching her funeral proceedings live. But why the whole world was crying? Why everyone was so much affected from the prince's death? Here I tell you that she was the one who never found love for her parents in her childhood, whose childhood was almost destroyed by one family, and who continued to be used for someone else's purposes. She was totally broken, but after all of this, she stood up, did many great things, and showed to everyone that I am just like you. There is no difference between me and you all. That's why the people loved her so much. Diana's very good friend and an artist, Elton John, made a song for her, which had been played into her funeral in Westminster Abbey, which says, "You are a candle in the wind. You are like a light in the dark that has gone."